Hi, I'm Letabo Motsoaledi, CEO of 3D Power, Cape Town-based startup, and co-creator of the Hourglass Project.
Hi, I'm Matthew Westway. I'm the CTO of 3D Power and co-creator of the Hourglass Project.
So how we did this was through building a tech-enabled art piece that will sit in South African corporate foyers, and it will communicate important international and national days visually and is in essence a catalyst for change.
My biggest challenge in starting up was probably the chicken before the egg scenario. Everyone only wants to back winners, and winners also need to get on the track. So you really need to fight hard to get past the starting line.
So like Matt said, our biggest challenge with starting the Hourglass Project was actually just getting started. So it was our first project, and it was a very big project because it was our first entrepreneurial venture, and we went directly to dealing with corporates, which is something we weren't experienced with, so we learned on the job. And in addition to that is validating the idea. So after we got to the market, we realized that there was a lot that needed to change or pivot. And fortunately, we used the fact that we're a startup to listen to what our customers wanted and also listen to what they really needed, and managed to repackage the solution in a way that works for everyone. And that was our biggest learning as well.
My advice to young entrepreneurs would be, first of all, to be resilient. It's going to be 1,000,000 times harder than a 9-to-5 job. Be passionate. You got to love what you do because it's going to be keeping you up all night. And finally, my advice to young entrepreneurs would be just to embrace failure. It's something which is going to happen to you a lot of the times, and you need to be able to take the best learnings from it and actually look for it, because it's probably what's going to bring you the greatest success. It was very important. So how I built the entrepreneurial mindset was completely organic. It wasn't taught. I just entered it head first. That would be my advice to entrepreneurs, to literally go out there, engage, interact with as many things and people as you can, and that mindset will just develop over time. But you cannot develop that mindset from sitting behind the desk. You need to go out and explore.
So I built my entrepreneurial mindset through actively searching for failure. And what I mean by that is every time you try something new, you're most likely to fail at it a few times until you get it right. So the entrepreneurial mindset develops through figuring out the best way to deal with failure and how to turn each failure into a success. And with that, you'll be able to endure and persevere through anything, which encourages you to try new things on a daily basis.
With regards to dealing with investors, I think it's very important that from the get-go, you guys talk the technical details. You don't want to leave it till too late, and when you're succeeding, your investors obviously are going to want a greater share of your business. And also be more creative with your structures. Today, there's a lot of creative ways of raising funding, and you don't always have to follow the traditional ways to do so.
My advice for dealing with investors or funders is to, one, know your worth. You know that your idea is everything, but at the same time, even more important than your idea is your ability to execute. So if you really back your ability to execute, then you really have a strong negotiating ground, and you should really stand your ground and know exactly what it is that you can bring to the table, because your funders or investors have been in the game for much longer than you. So if you don't believe in yourself, it's going to be really easy for you to get, ripped off. So I would say know your value, know your worth, and really know what the best deal is before entering into any negotiations.
Pitching, I think my advice would be keep to the existing recommended pitch decks, but try to be as visual as possible. In today's world, everyone just wants to see visuals, as it really hit home much better.
So my advice on pitching is to always keep it short and keep it simple, but throughout your pitch, always have in mind what the person you're pitching to really needs. It's not about you. In the end, it's about them. So tell a story that really speaks to their need.
What I believe university education's important in the sense that it allows you time to explore opportunities. And I believe that it's not 100% necessary, but it gives you that time and exposure to resources which you can use to develop your ideas. I think in today's world with the internet, you can literally learn anything within 3 weeks to a basic level. So online, it's the way to go. But obviously taking things out to the real world, taking your learnings out and applying them.
My advice to young women who want to go into entrepreneurship and engineering is just do it. We tend to overthink everything. We tend to wait until everything's perfect. And from my experience, I've learned that it never is. You're never smart enough and you're never ready. So just jump right into it and you'll learn everything on the go. And in addition to that, believe in what you have in mind and spend as much time as you can putting it into fruition, and it will happen. My advice is for young entrepreneurs is to always just get started. We tend to wait until we're motivated enough, or until we have enough finances, or until we know enough. And like getting anything else started, there's never a good time. Always have what you wanted in mind and visualize it every day, and every day just take that one step further to get you closer to that dream. So from a startup perspective, my advice to anyone working with corporates is just to back your horses. The deal with corporates is that they're big and they take a very long time to make any decisions, and that as an entrepreneur could really kill you. So what you have to do is persevere and keep contacting whoever your contact person is. Keep doing whatever it is that you need to do, because silence is not a no. But what will stop you is if you give up on persisting, and eventually you can turn silence into a yes. So my advice would be to continue to back your horse and continue to communicate with whoever you need to until you get that yes, because it will happen.
My advice for startups that would like to deal with corporates is to simply go for it. It's probably going to be, in the long run, one of your easiest customers, and it will give you the greatest kickstart if you are successful. The reason I'm saying this is corporates do a hell of a lot for small businesses. They're also legislated to help small businesses. So if you know this legislation and you position yourself correctly, you could potentially be in for an amazing future and have many more ideas that you can bring to them once you get past that starting block. In today's world, being a startup, being fast, probably the two aspects as a startup which you can beat corporates at is speed to market and cost of doing things. So using those two elements, you can really get ahead of the pack, and then simply corporates will simply be all ears to what you've done, as typically the process in the organization is much more regulated and slow. So being a startup, you probably have a good 6 months ahead of any technological breakthrough in terms of bringing it to fruition.
I think there are quite a few reasons why South African startups fail. These range from, the economic climate to finding funders that are willing to invest in what they consider to be a risky startup. But then again, it is risky startups that will change the, economic climate of the country. But I also do believe that South African startups fail because they're looking to find funding that isn't necessarily looking for them. So what I mean by that is a startup, someone has this great idea, and the first thing that they do is go look for funding and instead of actually just validating the product that they have with their customers. In the context of this country where funding is waiting for startups that already have validated ideas, is that there's that chasm between where your funders are and where you are. So I think what will lead to the success of a startup is if you can actively find those customers first, have them validate whatever it is that you have, and then go find the funding. And that will actually bridge the gap to make sure that you actually reach that successful stage. And if you find that you're on the brink of failing, don't let it be because you didn't find funding, but let it be because you gave yourself time to pivot, you're small enough to pivot, and you're able to really think about what is it that your customers want, and keep iterating until you find that, because your customers are your biggest validators. And once they've validated what you have, there's no reason for you to fail. I'd say it's very important in finding a good co-founder, someone that you can relate to, someone that you know that you want to kill sometimes, but you won't. But what I'd say, the most important thing in finding a co-founder is someone that actually you relate to, someone you understand, and that you've got the similar or competing levels of ambition and drive, because whenever you need a co-founder that knows exactly what the vision is and can help you remember what that vision is whenever you forget, that's what a teammate is for. And I'd also say that you need to have complementary skills. So if it is that, like Matt and I were both engineers, but what really does help is that Matt's really succinct and I would say more of a visual communicator. So that's a complementary skill within the same field. And I would say whenever you're looking for a co-founder, do look for someone who shares the same vision, but actually can complement whatever skill that you add to the table.
Having a good co-founder, it's of paramount importance. Some days when I want to take a rest day, fortunately Letabo won't let me have a rest day, and then when she wants to have a rest day, I'm keen to pull an all-nighter. And those are extremely important moments because you just keep going, and when I want to give up, Letabo is saying, are you crazy? And when she wants to give up, I'm saying, are you mad? So it's definitely important to have someone that's passionate and will take this journey with you.
I'd say mentors are very important to a startup, and I'd also say pick your mentors well. Always know that the advice that your mentors give always mean well, and it is up to you to go out into the field and apply whatever it is that they've taught you to what you see in the world. So don't just take everything to heart, but actually put it into practice and see if that their experience can really apply in your context. And don't forget that everyone can actually be your mentor. You never have enough mentors because there's always something to learn from everyone you meet.
The importance of mentorship to startups is critical, and it will become more and more paramount as you engage in more traditional scenarios where, for example, litigation. In these situations, it's very important to have expert advice and experience, because nothing will beat experience when it comes to dealing with the unexpected hurdles which will come along the way.